Yes, good morning, Greater Cargo and Petty Martin. This is Gemfm. I'm your host, the Sheriff. Yours truly, John Kelly. Today is the eve of Mother's Day, yes? And we are here today with Brother Kyron and Luis. Kyron, good morning to you. I think your mic is off. Yeah, good. All righty. Yes, all right. Turn the camera on now. Yeah, you're good. Yeah, camera on. Yeah.
Okay, just give me 1 second.
Anywhere I go, yeah. Do you have a dear mother? Kind of devoted and true. Dear mother, may all that is fair come to you right through the years. While I was a child, you were my God. You were always dear to me and always were by my side. She's my mother, and I love her so. Yes, I do, more than any other. Anywhere I go, yeah. Do you have a dear mother, so devoted and true? Dear mother, I'm sending to you best wishes and all the day through. May your days be cloudless and clear, bringing to you true happiness each day and night of the year. She's my mother, and I love her so. Yes, I do, more than any other. Anywhere I go, talking about my mother, oh my, oh mama don't cry.
Yes, this is love. Thank you, Mama.
Reaching out to all the mothers in the world. Sometimes it's just the way things are to be, yeah. Thank you, Mama, for the 9 months you carried me through. All those pain and suffering. No one knows the pressure you bear, just only you.
Yes.
You are my love.
Good morning, General.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today, my brother?
Oh, I'm doing good.
Good. Nice to have you with us here this morning. I have my two other my co-hosts and hostess is not here yet. I guess somebody's still. I'm probably going to look for mangoes. I don't know. I often say they probably go tie the sheep or something like that, and they're not here yet. So one day, I get no feedback from you. Yeah, turn off something there. Yeah. Yeah, something's on. I'm hearing myself twice. Yeah. So yes, welcome to Gemfm. I know that might be the first, but not the last time. On here. Yeah. Okay. See.
I don't have anything on in this here.
Okay, some better. Yeah. Yes. Fair enough. All right. Yes, some can. Yeah. Monkey is pretty simple in there. Yeah.
It took just 5 appointments in 1 week to throw their home.
Okay. I think we're good. We're good there now. Yeah. All right, Karen. We're good. We're good. All right. So again, I want to welcome you to Gemfm, and this is Saturday. So I see the eve of Mother's Day, and yes, yeah, that's good now. Somebody doing this. I'm having some scratch. Really heavy. Oh, all right. Where that coming from? Definitely from my end. All right. Okay. I went to my hold on. Let me see. The Mother's Day. All right. Yeah. So I think we be better now. Yeah. All right. Very good. Yeah. So Kyron, Delbert is here. Mr. Delbert.
Good morning, Delbert.
Good morning, brother. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
We having a little feedback, John.
Yeah, I try to when it's coming. I'm a deep inside here. From I click on my screen. Okay. Wow. 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 Well, I don't know where this is coming from. Okay, seems that we're not having it now again. Okay. So Karen, I think is that what? Yeah, I don't have
anything on here.
Yeah. Okay. All right, let's see. This is wow. Yeah.
Maybe I could try logging out and logging back in and see if that's.
Yeah, try and see. Try and see. Try logging and come back in.
A dear mother.
Yes, good and true. Yes, good morning, Delbert. How you doing, my brother? Happy Father's Day. But that's for our next time. That's for our next time. You know, how was your week, brother? How was your week?
I had a good week. I was traveling in the earlier part of the week, so sometimes it makes it seems like the week is shorter, but then you end up feeling more exhausted by the end. This morning I was like, no energy whatsoever. But other than that, I had a good week.
All right. Yeah. The week for me was good. I happened to not sleep well, and I take myself in coffee moments. The coffee moments keep me awake because I don't use no sugar, nothing in my coffee. I just drink coffee straight up, and I do 2 straight up, no sugar, and that's what keeps me up. So I had to myself that. And I came home last night. I know I wanted to do a show last night, but I didn't plan any show. So I said when I come home from work, I'll just do something, talk about finances and go stuff for that. But I came in, I just put myself on the couch and I slept until morning. So, all right, Karen, you're looking good there. Hi, is Dennis close to you? Say hi to Dennis. Hi, Dennis.
No, she's not.
She's not there? She
Well,
gone to the Gemfm market?
something like that.
All right. Make sure you get some oranges from Bros Grove. Yes, boss. So you're here with us this morning, and folks doesn't know Kyron and I went to school. We went to the same school, we went to the same church together, Gemfm Pentecostal Church. I think that's where we first met. Yes?
Yeah. That's where I started out.
Also, like either choir boys or acolyte or something. I don't know who in Greater have not been to church, growing up, either the altar boy or something like that, I was talking to a friend the other day, Des Leslie. They was a very good acolyte, you know what I'm saying? Dominic, who is a big fat Dominic from Mount St. Evans up there, that big Dominic, he was sing really good too. So a lot of us go up in, I kind of park in those, all of us, I remember the choir, so if we see looking surprised, it's because the church, we cover our mouth. But today we have, and a serious note, and say good morning to Stephanie from, I think in the same house to Stephanie, say good morning to her from me too. Mr. Lewis, I still live in the same house there where you live right now, brother. I think you live in the same house right now. So I want to say good morning to your household for me. It's been a while. However, today we have Kyron with us, and Kyron is a prominent member of our Canadian society and the Black and Canadian community. He has been instrumental in a number of things in Canada, Toronto in particular. If my memory serves me right, he's been the member of the president, I think, at one time, the Canadian Association, and instrumental in the Canada Day Association and activities. So before I messed up myself and said about Kyron, let me say about himself, and we'll go into other little things about Kyron. So Kyron, go ahead and introduce yourself, and we'll talk about how you arrived at Gemfm.
Well, you made a very distinguished introduction, so not much else more to say. I just consider myself a servant, so I try to help where I can. I try to fill needs where I can, and so far I can say I have been blessed with a little bit of success in assisting where I can. So I think I will continue to do that as the time passes and the opportunities arise. I will continue to serve.
Right. I know you're involved in a number of things, and recently I know you was doing some of the kite competition in the Easter kite flying competition and so on. How did that come about?
Well, unfortunately, we weren't able to do that this year because of there was because of the as everybody says, the COVID. We didn't have the preparatory time to source the venue and anyone who knows Pearl's Airport now, it's mostly a farm. It's a lot of cows and all. Even though people are still like, you would have to have that cleared, and you would have to get the requisite permission and stuff to do that. So because of the COVID, we didn't have that time, the preparatory time. And on top of that, I had a funeral. So that took a lot of my time, and so we didn't, unfortunately, we didn't pull it off this year. But we're making every effort to do that next year.
Great. Again, I want to just extend my sympathy to you and the family as well. So another thing before I go to the big question, how did you go about how did you get involved in the Grenada Day activity and the Grenada Association, and how did your role transform the Grenada community?
Well, somebody invited me to a meeting a long time ago. I don't remember, but somebody invited me to a meeting at a community meeting room that was done at somewhere down Runnymede and St. Clair, somewhere down there. And I went to the meeting, and they were looking for suggestions on what to do around the Grenadian community. And so I intoned that, maybe we should have a Grenada Day, a day especially for Grenadians, like everybody else does. And I was very happy to see that out of that suggestion, we had Grenada Day. And even though I was not fully participating in Grenada Day as per se, when I joined the Grenada Association a couple of years later as the president, I became involved with certain aspects of the Grenada Day. Unfortunately, I think there were some things that I don't know, maybe it wasn't proper timing, but everything didn't work as the way I would have liked. But I did participate, and I did assist where I could, and after I left the Grenada Association, I decided to give my services towards the diaspora. So I presented at the founding conference, the Diaspora Founding Conference in Grenada, and I presented on finance and tourism and finance. And when I came back, I still was around the community doing what I can. And then the opportunity arose where a group of us, Louis Noel, Ambrose, and I, we had a discussion. And so we formed an organization called the Gemfm Foundation, which is now a non-profit registered organization in Ontario. And we decided to do some activities to help the Grenadian community.
Okay. So how is that organization? I never heard about it really. How is that organization doing, and how can people contribute to the organization?
Well, our mandate is to assist the Caribbean with emergency assistance. And so when something happens that somebody needs assistance, we would get together and we would source certain organizations and groups to assist us in providing those measures. So I think it was 2016 that Dominica had the first hurricane, and so we made a pitch to to some of the organizations around and some of the businesses. And we were able to amass about 2,000 pounds of rice for Dominica, hundreds of pounds of flour and sugar and other stuff and blankets and clothing and stuff. And so we made a donation to them. I think the year after 2017, they had another hurricane, which we did the same. At the start of the pandemic, we were able to source 100,000 face masks for Grenada, which we so we try to assist. Besides, there are other non-emergency events and times that we donated. We're not an organization that asks for any monetary donations when we go around. We ask most people that can provide whatever kind of assistance they can in terms of maybe non-perishable food, maybe sanitary products, maybe utensils and pots and spoons and forks and plates. And so we were able to be very successful in those endeavors.
Okay. So so that is cool. I mean, I didn't know about it. I'm happy to hear about it. So maybe we could do some more promotion for it, because a lot of times people look for money, and what you give like tangible stuff that immediately could bring food or bring clothes or bring things to the immediate persons who need them, and that is really, really cool. When you look back now on what we call the Grenada Day event, do you see any room for improvement or any solution that could make the organization better, or activities that could make it even greater in the community?
I hesitate to entertain that line of questioning, so to speak. Because I would leave that to, you see, okay, let me just say that I believe if you're going to have an organization, an event, whatever it is, you have to be intuitive. You have to know your audience. You have to know who you're trying to reach. You have to know when interest is waning or whether you're gaining interest. You have to know if the activities that you're putting on are the activities that are meeting the needs of the community. You have to know, and these are things for the leadership of the organization to figure out and do a self-assessment and see whether or not that is they're achieving what they set out to achieve. So I don't.
All right, I just wanted to know, because you've been, like the suggestion that you mentioned earlier on, and it came to pass and stuff like that. Sometimes when you see something that you have done, or you have said about something and you see it come to fulfillment, and there's a lot of things going on with it, you look back and you say, from what I said, wow, this is such a made. It's for example, for me, who really is the founder, a co-founder, ultimate co-founder of Rainbow City, right? Jim and I, and how that came about is that I walk into Jim and I was good friends. We worked together closely in doing constructions and stuff like that. He did design the stuff, I built it. And one evening, I walked into his house to see a plan for Xerox in St. George's, and on his wall there's a picture of Labe painted in rainbow. So I said, "Wow, it's a Rainbow City." He said, "John, that's the name," And so we decided together what we could do about this whole Labe thing, and have a festival and craft shows and stuff like that. And he said, that's the whole thing. So I said, no, what? Let me get Peter Blair involved with it. Let me talk to Peter Blair, because he was doing CDCI time. And he came in. But the whole idea and all the plans that we wrote down, me and Jim did, we started off well, and we had more plans for Granville, Telescope Beach, and so on. But it didn't turn out, as we know now, Rainbow City is a ghost town around the same August 1st weekend, August long weekend. August is a ghost town. And I look back at it and say, no, the dreamers are not there. your visionaries are not involved in the process. So who, and we look back now, what went wrong? So that's why I asked you this question about that, what your vision was, what you thought would have been a nice thing to see if that line up with your vision of what you thought of having a greater celebration. And I think you answered the question quite nicely. So at this point, I don't have anything to ask you, but I have to go to the next one about your involvement with the TC, because recently you have received some honor from your workplace, of which you become a very instrumental part of it. So, Delbert, any question from my guest, for our guests?
Well, one of the things that I've noticed, good morning, by the way, good morning. Congratulations on all that you have done and what you continue to do to empower the Grenadian community in the greater Toronto area. But one of the things that I find, and that's true about organizations that I have been involved in, I don't know what it is about us Grenadians, we seem to have an organization for everything. And everybody wants to form an organization. And there are folks like yourself who obviously think this thing through. The observations you made a few minutes ago speaks directly to that. You know, you're not getting into something just to occupy your time, but that you have it's rooted in your values in terms of who you are as a person, and that you genuinely want to do things to empower, to help people, to make their lives easier, to help them get access to services that they may not know, and so forth. But we have so many other organizations throughout North America, and yet still our community seems to continue to struggle. What do you think is the reason for that?
I think that's twofold. Now, I was always taught from a young boy, leadership is service. And you serve not for reward.
Mm-hmm.
You serve to meet a need. So let me just put it in layman's terms. If you're hungry and I give you a bread, I shouldn't think of, I'm giving Delbert a bread so that, you know, when I meet Delbert next week and he have money, you won't give me $1. Mm. You give Delbert a bread simply because he's hungry and you have it, and you can afford to give him a bread to satisfy his hunger. That's it, period.
Yeah.
And John asked me a question earlier when I spoke. He said he didn't know about the organization. You see, it can be a two-edged sword, because when we do events and programs, we don't broadcast it. We don't go telling people, oh, we have to take a picture with John so we could post it up and put John on blast that John needed a socks. So we gave John a sock. Everybody knows that brown socks that John is wearing came from the Cover Me Foundation. No.
Yes.
Right? Some people have their pride and their privacy, and if they have a need and they ask you to supply certain needs, that's all it takes. Just give it to them, and you don't have to broadcast it. I think the Bible speaks about those who do well and go up on the mountain and shout it out. You know, you don't want to do that. What you want to do, and the other issue I see with all these organizations, everybody wants to be the leader. Everybody wants to be the chief, right? And so we have situations where everybody wants to form an organization because they can't or may not be able to get leadership in a certain organization. I made a statement in 2012, and I said, if Grenada have 10 organizations, everybody have to go for 10 cents a piece. Mm-hmm. But if we make one organization, we get $1. Yeah. Which would you prefer? Getting 10 cents and have to raise 10 events to make that $1? Or would you prefer one event, raise the $1 and do what you're supposed to do?
Yeah.
I think the problem we have, and we've tried it, you know, in the Grenadian community, we tried it. we tried having an umbrella organization. But I think one of the issues that the Grenadian community face is simply Delbert has an organization, is the president of Y, I am president of F, John is president of C. So Delbert, John, and I get together and we form an umbrella organization, but who becomes the leader? You see, it's my observation that especially in the Grenadian community, leadership is not so much about leading as to my name being called. And so people want their names, they want credit for stuff. So even though organizations do certain things, you wouldn't hear this organization do it. You would hear, oh, Chiron's organization has done that. Even though the organization has a name.
Yeah.
You know, we have to make it seem like we're the ones charting the way, we're the ones who are doing the thing. Even though we have and last night I said that to one of my, I guess we'll speak about it, another organization within the environment where I work. And I was saying to one of the executive members, I said, people don't understand that when you walk into a situation or a village or something and you see a beautiful house, people praise the house. Oh, what a nice house. But nobody thinks, I wonder what the foundation is. Because the foundation holds up the house.
Yes.
And people don't give accolades or credit to the foundations that hold them up. Yes, the public may see me, but people like Louise, nobody knows how I rely on Louise, not just for research, not just for communication, not just for sending out my requests and stuff, but you bounce ideas off of people, and people bounce ideas off of you, and you come together and you say, well, that's it. These are some of the things that we do. That maybe that's why a lot of people don't know much about our organizations, because I don't believe if I go to, I will use Grace Foods because they have been a big donor of ours. We would call Grace Foods and they donated quite a lot to us. I don't think that I should then go to the community. If I get what I need from Grace Foods, I don't need to go to the community and let the community know. I save that community giving for when I really need it.
Right.
But sometimes we go and we push things to the point where we may need 1 bag of flour, but we get 10 and we ship it, and then they can only use 1 and 9 spoil. And we see a lot of that happening in our community. I know personally that happens because one of the things that we don't do is that we don't ask John what he wants. We tell John what he needs, what we should give him. But John doesn't need flour, but we don't know. We think John needs, because John says, I'm hungry. We don't ask John, well, John, you're hungry. What do you need? You need rice, chicken, flour. And John would say, well, I don't drink sugar in my coffee. I would like the coffee black. But we don't ask that. What we do is that we make a coffee, we put 10 spoons of sugar in it, and we hand it to John, and we think if he don't drink it, he's ungrateful. No, because we don't do our research. We don't ask people, how can I help you? We tell people, here, this is what is. No, and we do that consistently, even within greater community organizations like the diaspora community, for example. We go down there and we tell Grenadians what they need. We don't ask Grenadians, what do you need? The only organization, I must confess, the only organization I know for sure that does that is the Grenada Hospital Assistance Fund. They ask the medical community, what do you need? And they only provide what the community needs, so that we don't have waste.
Yes. Stopping on waste.
Most other organizations, we don't do that. We just go and we gather some barrels and we put what we want in it and we ship it down. And we say we donate. but donate to who? And we say, oh, the barrels are sitting on the pier for 10 days and we can't get assistance to clear it. Well, because nobody knows that you're selling 10 barrels. And who did you ask what they want that you put in the barrel? You just sell it. And these are some of the problems. If we need to fix this community, these are some of the things that we need to get under control. These are some of the things that we need to do to make our community and our diaspora more efficient. Otherwise, we're going to be 10 years the same way like we've been for the last 50 years.
Wow.
Yeah, but
well, the thing is that, I mean, you so crystallize that problem so beautifully there. And for me, I wonder, why haven't we learned? Why haven't we? Because obviously what we are doing is not working. Poverty has increased on the island, and I just returned from home quite recently, and prior to that, I had a 3-year sabbatical there, and I was surprised with so many things that I saw, especially the level of poverty and the struggle of my brothers and sisters, especially those on the lower earning spectrum, to make ends meet. And I saw so many young couples, sometimes single moms, sometimes single dads, who had kids who were outstanding at the primary school level and even at the secondary school level, but there were no opportunities for them to move forward. And not only that, for many days, I did not know, I did not believe that in this era that kids would be going to sleep hungry at night or going to school unfed. And that's happening. And the problem, how you laid it out, where if somebody, didn't get the leadership of an organization, they went out and formed their own. Those organizations, almost 90% or probably greater, fail because the motive behind them is not service, it's self. And not maybe self so much in terms of enriching themselves, but self maybe just to say that I'm president of this organization. And I'm wondering, given some of the lessons, whether or not we have learned the lessons of the pandemic. And I go back early to something that what my friend said when this pandemic broke out, who is a friend, who's also a friend of the show, Ken. And he spoke very, very, very early. I wasn't hearing any of the so-called leading experts talking about it. Very early, he said that there are going to be some important lessons to be learned from this pandemic. And one of them is going to have to be, how do we as a people find deeper areas within our lives to collaborate with each other, whether at the community service level, whether at the professional level, whether at the at societal level, at the sort of NGO or at the governmental level. And I'm afraid that because it seems now that we are beyond the pandemic stage and almost trying to live in an epidemic stage, the jury is still out on that we have sort of returned to business as usual. And that the points that you made earlier in terms of service, in terms of doing something because the only joy and benefit you get from it is seeing that you have helped somebody and empowered somebody and made their lives better, and hopefully they will be able to pay that forward, that we have not learned that lesson. And I'm afraid that given all the challenges that we face as people in the diaspora and our brothers and sisters who live on the island, and we can't just look at it as Grenada, right? That's a wider Caribbean problem, because there's no island in the Caribbean that can succeed by itself. Even Trinidad or the bigger ones, Jamaica or Guyana, with all its discoveries and all, they cannot succeed by themselves. The Caribbean is going to sink or float together. So what's interesting is that we find ways, those of us who occasionally live in North America and London and other places, to collaborate with our Caribbean brothers and sisters. But somehow back in the region, that cooperation is very scant. It's very surface. You hear of all these conferences and all these meetings and so forth, but nothing really comes out of it. And we don't see our people benefiting in any meaningful way for it. But yet still, if I'm on my job and I know a brother from Barbados, Guyana, Trinidad, Jamaica, wherever, and my company is recruiting, I'm not saying, I'm not going to tell him about it, because I want that brother to come in there and join the company and enjoy some of the benefits that I may be doing. And so how do we do this? Because we need it, we need it to survive. We're not just to survive. We want to succeed. We want to do better than surviving. And the whole question has so many. I mean, I remember a couple of years ago with a friend, we reviewed some Grenadian organization in New York, and there were over 100 organizations, and we could not see what the benefits the people back home. Some of them were village, some of them were school-based, some of them were ex-police, ex-teachers. There were more than one in that thing. There were ex-nurses, there were things. And still, when people go to the hospital, they cannot get the Tylenol. So what are we really doing?
You make some valid points, and I believe that through my experiences with different organizations, I keep saying the Grenadian community can benefit if we strategize and if we unite, and if we selflessly do leadership, if we selflessly lead. Now, for example, when the Government Foundation sends stuff to Grenada, we don't raise, we've never raised funds to send this stuff home. If we get together as an organization and we say, well, look, we have $5 and that can send the shipment of stuff home, we do it. Yeah. Because when we really need, we can go to the community and say, this is a need, we need it. The other thing I noticed, and John, thank you for the privilege of being able to highlight certain things, because I think for too long, we have hidden our heads in the sand. And this is not about a complaint fest, but it's an awakening fest where we need to know what the issues are that we face in putting not just Grenada, but the Caribbean together.
Yeah.
The thing is, some people will take advice depending on who it comes from. So sometimes I will have to tell John to tell Delbert. Because if I go to Delbert and I tell Delbert,
he ain't listening.
Right, he consider me, he don't think I'm smart enough, or he don't think I know what I'm saying. So he won't listen to me. But if the same idea comes from John to Delbert, it gets done.
Yes.
One of the things we don't do, and you spoke about the students in Grenada. And I believe that one of the issues that face us in terms of helping students is that we raise a backpack for one term in school 1 year, and we give the kid that backpack, maybe with supplies, but that's only for 1 year. Next year, when things get more expensive, do you think that kid who couldn't afford Form 1 can now afford Form 3?
Exactly.
It's more expensive, it's worse.
Yeah.
So I would rather, instead of sending 5 backpacks to 5 different students every year for 1 year, I would prefer you take one kid and you foster that kid throughout his entire secondary education until he graduates.
Yeah.
That's the way you make an impact. Not with one backpack. You don't give fish for 1 day.
Yeah.
You teach fishing. That's what you do. So you foster that kid from common entrance or whatever they call it now, and You foster that.
It's called something. It's called something different now.
Yes, through the secondary education. That way you
Yeah,
can say, I assisted Delbert in his secondary
yeah,
education. You can't come to me
yeah.
with one backpack a year and disappear and then tell me, oh, I did a backpack program for Grenada
Yeah.
and how long this backpack lasts.
Yes.
Right?
You know something, Kyron, you said something earlier. I really endorse what you just said. This is really powerful. I often said this. Someone called me one day. I want to send some stuff to Grenada and they want to show me what they're doing or send to Grenada. I say, bro, you know, I don't do that, you know, no, I had to let them know I don't do that because if you do it, just do it and get it done. You know, you don't have to put promotion up to say, like you said, you don't want to make the right hand know what the left hand doing. If you do it from your heart, just do it without looking for the attention. Just do it and get it done. Say it to Grenada, you do your thing for yourself, say it to Grenada. That's it. That was my position. The other thing about it, you said, and I so like this because sometimes when we are involved in organizations, somebody always want to be seen as the head, and instead of calling it the Walnut Foundation and this foundation, they call it the Kyron organization. I know Kyron and them, Kyron this and Kyron that. And I think we can kind of move away from those kind of labeling to better meet the needs of people. Once you assert some certain person's name to an organization, people stay away from it. Because they want to do it Karen, they want to do it Louis, they want to do it with Pamela, they want to do it John. But let it just be the name of the organization without that headliner, with that person at the forefront. And I think that's one of the dangers in organization. We try to put people at the top of the thing instead of the body, the organization itself. Call the organization for what it is. Say the organization, this organization, call by name. And I think by that way, people might get to do things better. And the other thing that Delbert said, and I think you said too, is having this unit, that united one organization thing, where we will find out the needs of the people and address those kind of things. I think it's much better. Because you could just send a whole set of stuff to go in. People need the same Land Rover, but they need a truck. And then the other spot, you have to send, next they send the truck instead, and the Land Rover become something of the past. So it's finding the needs and supplying and feeding that need instead of trying to just kind of have your own diagnosis test for what you think the person needs.
The funny thing is that there's so many solutions out there. And I don't know if we're thinking this thing quite through. For example, right? Grenada is an inverted country. We have more Grenadians living outside of the country than either Grenadians who were born there or who of Grenadian descent, right? So if we were to say, I know, just from my own small circle, that there are 50,000 Grenadians living in the diaspora who can afford $50 a month for a year. Okay? So let's say we were going to put this group together, and we can't do it up here because it ties back to the point that you make. You have to know what the needs are on the ground, okay? So you must be working collaboratively with people on the ground who understand what's going on there and who share your passion, who understands that need, who understands not just because a lot of times, sometimes things go to Grenada and it does not go to the people who need it the most. It goes to people who have access to it, which is a very different thing. But let's say we were going to do that, it's not a small effort. It's probably got to take a couple of months or maybe even a year to put together because we have to bring people along. We have to bring them along in our thinking. Okay, it's not just about saying it. And sometimes you say it and it ties back exactly to what you say. It comes from Delbert. So, hey, no, I ain't listening to Delbert. This guy is an old communist. I ain't listening to him. But let's say we were going to do that, right? And set up some kind of fund, and we have some kind of account where that money is compounding every. You know what kind of effect we would have on Grenada? We would transform it. Those of us who, the possibility is limitless. All right, but we have to understand the need. We have to put ourselves second. Only put ourselves first to do the work and to make the effort. And then it pains me. Listen, I grew up in Chantemelle. I was fortunate, okay, very, very fortunate. I grew up in a very middle-class family. I had everything that I needed. But I saw extreme poverty growing up in my village. I saw extreme poverty. And I experienced it with some of my closest friends. I'm grateful that my parents taught me the kind of values that told me you were not better because you were more fortunate, because you wore shoes to primary school, or you always had this and you always had that. That she taught me friendship was based on love and respect for that person, or vice versa. All right. And I want to see us do better. I feel, given everything that people like my parents and probably the generation who came after accomplished, and they expanded so much energy and effort into us, okay, to educate us, to give us all these opportunities. And I think somehow we are failing the people who are coming after us. You know, one of my friend, Dr. Stephen Fletcher, always talks about that our generation somehow, even though if we have individually succeeded, has failed the people who we're supposed to be taking care of and championing for. And how? So I'm thinking aloud here. How do we do that? Because it's not too late. It's not too late. You know, we got to keep planting those seeds.
Well, it's never too late. But I believe that we need a reset.
Yeah.
Sometimes foundations crack, the walls go crazy. You reset. You straighten it. You dig the foundation again and you reset. I think the Grenadian diaspora need a reset. In fact, in 2012, when I was presenting at the Homecoming Conference, at that time, the foreign minister was Hood, Carl Hood.
I was there at that conference, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
It was at the Trade Center.
At the Trade Center. I don't remember everybody that was there. But anyway, Carl Hood called me aside and he said, what are your views on it? And I said, we started wrong. And he said, what do you mean? I said, when I came in, there were people asking in the community, well, what is diaspora? What does the diaspora do? What do you mean diaspora? I said, the problem is what should have been done is that this diaspora initiative should have first been sold in Grenada.
Yeah.
Let Grenadians know what the initiative is, what you're going to do, what's proposed, and how you can accomplish it. And then you bring us in. We went there, and as you know, you was there. We just presented a set of paper on economics and finance and strategy and microtourism and we just presented it. And I'm saying, this is backwards. Grenadians don't even know what we're talking about. And Delbert, you were there. How many local Grenadians were at the Trade Center? Very few. Very few. Foreigners.
It was just us doing our own intellectual masturbation.
Exactly. And I was just about to say, even the Grenadians who were there were the Paul schools and the so-called the elite. Intellectuals. That was it. The average Grenadian didn't have a clue what was happening at the Trade Center. Yeah. And that is what we do all the time. We think we know more what Grenadians need than what they themselves need for themselves. And that's the problem.
And you know something, a very, very strong observation here though, because you make mention of something. They have not been in touch with the grassroots. They have not been in touch with the people. They never connected to the people. So who they associate themselves with is the upper class. So they invite the upper class, right? To hoping that the upper class is going to pay attention to what needed in Grenada. Instead of getting you see, when you don't have mass organization in your country, when you leave out the women's organization, the youth organizations, and the farmers union and organization, you leave them out, and you kind of isolate them from the entire operation. You don't get the feedback that you need, and you feel your organization dead because they're not trickling down to the people who need it the most. And that's where you have the stagnation, and that's where you have the dissatisfaction with people. And when they go to them once every 5 years, they don't know why people are despondent. The reason for that is because you have not been in touch with them. You didn't prescribe the right medicine, but okay, you don't know what their needs are. And you're thinking like, people are not educated on a lot of things. Like when people making comments about the diaspora, who is the diaspora, what they're doing? Well, they think by saying 1 barrel for us is feeding us, So because they have not been educated enough. And when you go to speak to the people, you're not speaking to the Ghanaian people that really need to hear you. You're speaking to a elite group of people that already have their bread buttered. So how do you really fix that?
I remember leaving that conference so disappointed and so disillusioned, right?
I was disappointed. I was very disappointed.
So we probably felt the same way. I heard those presentations and I was, what are they talking about? This people are not. And then I remember Paul Schoon in his presentation in 2012 questioned, he had a conversation going about that young girls who got pregnant, there should be no, they should be just kicked out of school. And I'm thinking, oh my God, this is 2012. Because I had friends, guy friends who had children while they were in high school. They went on to be super successful. And the girls' lives were ruined. And as the father of an only child who happens to be a girl, that hit me, it hit me. And there was some other presentation. I remember the then Minister of Education made a presentation. I was like, wow, I was wowed by the presentation. I love the initiative that she was talking about, the many different initiatives. And then I had the opportunity to speak to her after her presentation. And I said, how would you, these are some wonderful initiatives, but how are we implementing them? How are you selling that to the Ghanaian people? How some of the services you're talking about, how are they accessing it? And she told me that wasn't important. She just have to do it. And in my mind, I'm like, oh my God, if you're not telling people what you're doing, you're not telling them how to access the benefit, they're not understanding it, how it will affect their lives in a tangible way, it will fail. It will fail. And that was my experience living that conference. As a matter of fact, I was sitting with a friend of mine when Paul Schoon made that comment, and I was about to get up and say, please get this man off the stage. And I was sitting in the company of two beautiful women, and they both knew what I was going to do because we've been friends for a long time. And they just grabbed my hand and said, sit down.
A lot of this conference, I welcome the initiative because I thought we needed that.
Yes.
But I think, again, foundation, I think it started wrong. It was not for the right purpose. It was the right initiative, but not for the right reason.
We were doing it for ourselves.
Exactly. And some of when I left the conference, I remember speaking to somebody and I said to the person, I said, this conference is similar to what I would classify as a doctor who's diagnosing a man walking down the road. You see a man walking down the road and he seems to be walking crooked. Yeah. And you think, well, maybe, and this doctor is diagnosing him and say, look, I'm giving you medication for your knees.
Yes.
I think you have arthritis.
Yeah.
Well, that may not have anything to do with the man's feet. It might be his head or his brain that's just, or his head is hurting or whatever, and his balance or air infection. But we just watch what's happening in Grenada and we diagnose the problem until we can fix it. That's because we don't engage Grenadians.
Yeah.
A lot of it has to do with, and I think when I was a young boy, I must have been subscribing to that kind of belief that people who go away have it all and then they come back for 2 weeks. I call them 2-week millionaires. Yeah. They come back for 2 weeks, they spend a bunch of money and then they disappear. And they think that is how they should, treat Grenadians.
Yes, yes.
We give them this false idea that we have everything.
Yeah.
And so we give them the idea, we go on for 2 weeks and we give them the idea that we're successful.
Yeah.
I see that happen all the time. And, when I just came here, and I moved into a house with some Gradient people, and I recognized, I said to my late wife, then I said, Belle, these people are living a lie. You know, we can't do this. People are borrowing one another clothes, they're doing all kind of crazy stuff. They go into what they call Nobel Farmer time, and they're not really paying for this stuff. They're stealing stuff from the shelf and walk away, and they're packing barrels, you know? And I'm thinking like, are you kidding me? You know? So this kind of a falsehood that they go and they live in and pretending that they have it all together. I tell people already, I don't have it all together. You know, I don't expect to come and grade and give $1,000 to everybody. It's not gonna happen. You know, and I think it's something that like you said, Tyrant, when they go to grader, they give that false narrative, that false impression of we all wealthy and living good. That's not the case. Many of us, I was saying recently that if you're making $20 an hour with a family of 4, paying a mortgage of $3,000 a month, $3,500 a month, you're broke. You know, I mean that's $2,000 alone is a mortgage payment. You know what I mean? And then you have to leave after that. You have food for a family for about $2,000 now. Gas alone is used to be I pay $59 something to fill up my van. Now I'm paying $125 right up. You know what I mean? Talk about that. I mean, and so put all this thing together. The average person making $50,000 is still living in poverty in this country. Is a poverty. So we're making money just to pay the bills, not to really live a life. So those of you in Grenada and our place, I mean, I'm not bashing you, but we might have to start asking for support too. Yeah, but before we go to the question, I want to play this song. I want to dedicate this song to all the mothers and to the men in the world. This is from Mighty Sparrow. Happy Mother's Day, Mother's Love. And we're coming back to you, Kyron. We talk about your involvement in the Toronto Transit Commission, TTC, and your rise into that organization. And what do we expect and what this organization meant to you coming here? And a little bit about your mom, because you make mention about when you was a young boy, when you were raised. So I'll come back to that. Right here, this song by Mighty Sparrow.
In this place, certain men should hide their face. The way they treat them mothers like disgrace. In this place, certain men should hide their face. The way they treat them mothers like disgrace. Neglect the old lady for donkey years when she dead. They shedding crocodile tears and spending money like hell to buy a casket big like Hilton Hotel. But when their mother was alive, they didn't know she then. It's nightclubs and brothel, their money used to spend. They used to carry on, but now that she is gone, them hypocrites weep and mourn. Well, if you are lucky and still have your mommy, remember what Sparrow said. Forget them jagabats and all them Jezebel and make sure your mommy okay. In the street, some of them drunk in the street, and mama have nothing to eat. Buying company every day they in a spree, and their mommy belly empty. I know a man one night joined the wife to cuss his mother. 2 weeks later he end up in career. When she dead he start to moan and shout, I wish the dead could have wake up and bust it down out. When his mother was in need, he didn't pay a heed, and she had to eat the bread the devil need. It was so unfair, I mean a postcard once a year, to pretend you're so sincere. No, she don't need a lot, just give her what you got, whether you're rich or you're poor, I say. Only on a birthday should not be the way, every day should be Mother's Day. neglect your mommy so. Don't leave her in tears and sorrow. Don't forget that you owe her the respect that all good mothers should get. You've got to make it a point of duty. Try and see that she's always happy, not like those who just pay the bill, only to make sure that their name come out in the will. You drove her out her mind, you treated her unkind. How could you be so blind to leave mama to pine? The pain she had to bear to bring you safely here, and now you don't really care. You treated her crude, and for your ingratitude, someday you will have to pay. Because retribution meets every man who treats his mommy that way. My friend, tell me, why do you pretend to remember your mother then? Why do you mourn when she's buried all alone and no longer can she return? The Lord above will take care of her up there, but your obligation lies right here. It's unkind to leave her undone. Don't be a blasted, ungrateful son. Now after all is said and done, I'm warning every son. Give your mama your love and affection. Try to understand, she did the best she can. Now give her a helping hand. No, you cannot repay even until your dying day, though you may only start and moon about. You'll be a very lucky fella if you still have the treasure as the wealth of a mother's love.
Yes, welcome back. And I just want to let you know that this session is brought to you by Cookies Pastry Delight on the corner of Ben Jones Street in Grenville. And Afro's Chicken, that's happening every Wednesday and Friday in Simon, and Simon. That's close to you, brother. So the chicken and the Pastry Delight is a Cali's Louis affair as well. And we ask you to support these two ventures whenever they go to Grenville. Don't forget to check out Cookies Pastry Delight. To call them and place an order is 473-444-6782 and 457-6306. Sorry. And don't forget to check out Afro's Chicken. That happens every Wednesday and Friday night in Simon. All right. God bless you again. And we're back with Brother Kyron Lewis. And Kyron Lewis is here. And Kyron, I want to start back off with asking a question about how you were raised and how important is a mother in you in becoming who you are today. Hold on. Tex is here. Hi, Tex. Good morning. Tex is here. She's late for the class like that, but she would never have to go and get grass for the cow. I think she had to go to the market and she just coming. Hi, Tex.
I didn't know. I didn't realize that Tex sneaked in. Good morning, Tex.
Tex is here. She pantomiming.
Do you know how long I was here? I was just about to take my video off and say goodbye.
I'm sorry. I was not. This was. Come on, you know how we get in conversation here, and this one is a great one. So, good morning.
My host, my co-host, went to get grass for his cow. The other hostess, she went and do something, and she came late, and she wanted to leave because she didn't get attention yet. You see,
that's like those known troublemaker in the class, right?
Kyra been here.
Mr. Lewis.
Be here on time. He been on time.
Mr. Lewis is the only man I know that take blows for Grenada, and still standing. Everything that he did right was wrong. God is good.
A man is never king in his own home, right?
That's true. He did so good and for the diaspora, yet still he turned out to be the worst person.
There you go. Somebody here that knows me more than anything else again. And, so yeah, and Tex is here with us every Saturday morning. And she has no bad words about you, but always good things to say about Kyron. So here she is again and still saying, you know, and Louise is be here too, and still needed to back on the show. But like you make mention of Louise, again, she's a very, very, very instrumental person. I mean, she has a lot of resources, she has access to other stuff and people. And like I said, you know, the message and, you know, you bounce off ideas from each other. I think another thing that she's a very soulful person in any sort of imagination here. She is that, right? So yeah, so back to you, Kyron, about how you've been raised and what I have a saying. All I hope to be with my mother. You know, how you're growing up and how much of your mother's training bring you up. Because we grew up in the church together, and you know, our mother's always there with us, bringing us to church and stuff like that. How much of your present life or your life transformation is credited to your mother?
All of the good parts. And I don't think there is enough of them for her. My mom died a while back in '96, but my mother, I used to say, when I talk to people, I tell them, you know, my mother was not, John, as you know, my mother was not a small lady. And when I say small, I'm talking about stature-wise. My mother was 6 feet tall.
Wow.
And she was not a small woman. And she would pick you up by the neck. And just I remember my mother would grab me in the collar and literally lift you off the ground.
Yeah.
She was that kind of woman. And my mother was, she was what we would call, back in the day, my mother was a clown. She would make you laugh at every turn. She can find humor in anything, but she was a strong woman. And she always, I know, pushing her kids to be the best they can be has always been her thing. I used to tell people, I believe I was the only young boy growing up reading Mills and Boons. Because I would read everything in the house, and when there was nothing left, my mother would make me read Mills and Boons. So I had a friend up in Uganda to get away from reading those, what we used to call girl books back then.
Yes.
The little love stories and stuff. So I would go and go up over Gramber by the cemetery, and I had a friend there. He used to have all these Western books. So I used to go there just to get away. I used to read books over and over and over just to get away from reading. Because everything my mom put her hands on, she would give it to me.
Yeah.
So, so I grew up with that mentality of reading. And a lot of the reading that I did had to do with service. So I believe when you're called to do something, no matter what people do or say, it may hurt, it may stall you for a while, but it never stops you. Because that's what you're called to do. If a car is made to drive on the road, the car may have an accident every now and then, but it gets back on the road.
Yes.
Until it's expired. And that's what I believe I am called to do. I believe I'm a servant. My family used to be upset because hours of the night I will be out collecting stuff and doing stuff and, you know, picking stuff up, renting vehicles, trucks to go pick stuff up. And, you know, and my wife used to say all the time, you don't get credit for doing these things, so why do you do it? And I don't think she meant getting the credit, but just that no matter how hard you work, it seems that some other person always wants to take credit.
Yeah.
And it has a lot to do with, because you're not claiming the credit, you leave it there for somebody else to take. And so people feel that they can just take. And
entitlement.
Exactly. And throughout my service here with the Grenadian community, I've seen that quite a lot. You know, a lot of things that I should have been credited for, I see people taking credit for it. I say nothing. In my presence, they would say, well, oh, it was Kyron. Behind my back, you would hear all the stories of who and who and who. And I because it's not about the credit. It's the satisfaction that I've done something worthwhile, made somebody's life better, or that somebody now has a voice.
Yes. Interestingly, you said that, and talk about the mother there, and I want to plug something here because what you said is very interesting, and it's very, that could be a conversation anywhere. It's a biblical thing, teaching that Jesus gave. When the two sons of Zebedee came to him and they asked him to sit on the left and the right in the kingdom, right? He was just looking for recognition. You want to be up front, you want to be first, you want to be in everything. And Jesus said, yeah, can you drink of the cup that I drink of and be baptized with the baptism baptized? And they said, yes. But he said, to sit on my left and my right is not for me to give, but who is prepared. He said, you want to be great? Be of service. Be a servant. That's the Great Commission. And, you know, like you say now, I'm not doing this for the recognition, but doing that for the service, to serve others. And this is one of the greatest commission that Jesus asked us to be. You want to be great? Be a servant. And that is where I see you being of service to people. You know about the sitting on the left and the right hand, to see you're being first. And like I said, people instead of giving the credit, they want to take the credit. They can do that. But if they can't serve, they can't lead. And that's what, you know, servanthood is the greatest tool. You was always saying something, Tex?
That's the one thing I find that is weak in Karen. He don't stand up for himself. Always take the blame. Okay, so if you say so is so. And he's a good leader. He does a lot of things. Even I know in TTC, and something is gonna come up, and he wouldn't take, okay, well, I did that and I want to lead that. And he just, okay, if that's what you want, and he will just surrender. And that's the weak side of him. I need him to stand up. I tell him that from day one, you need to stand up and say, I did it. I do that. But you don't do that. So people take advantage of you because of that.
I think what you're saying there is just making it even stronger for him. That's what great leaders need, servants need, is if you to hold their hands up, people like you and myself and others, you bring them up to the front, you know, and that's what we're doing here today. So with that being said, we talk about mother. So today, I know recently Karen has been involved, and his organization, the TTC, the Toronto Transit Commission, has awarded you not only this year but other years before you have been doing the organization. So tell us a little bit about how you get involved in the organization, become an employee, and what was your experience up until this time and the awards, and what is it for? I know you do a lot of stuff with the Black History Month and so on, and so on. So could you give us a little bit synopsis? We have enough time. Don't worry about time. I know about you, but I have enough time to hear about. And that's one thing about Gemfm. We don't give people 15 minutes of song bite. We want to give them a time to express themselves, to say. So now the stage is all yours, and we'll interrupt you after. We'll ask you a question after you do that thing about you and TTC. So I want to hear from you and your involvement in TTC.
Well, you can ask your questions during. That's okay. Yeah. So I started with the TTC in 2004, and I started actually on my birthday, which is kind of neat. But throughout my time in TTC, I realized that minorities didn't have much of a say in the organization. When I started that organization, for lack of a better term, it was an old white boys club. There were not much women, and there were not much minorities. We would be working there, but not in the leadership role, not in the front office, not you know, not in the back office, not in the towers, not in the air conditioned department. Right? So after I decided, how can I make a difference to my own people in TTC? And so the opportunity arose, and I spoke to one of my union executives, and I said, can I have a conversation with the chief operations officer? It was right around the time with the George Floyd thing, and I said, you know what, maybe now is the time to strike a missile and see what happens. So I asked to speak to the chief operations officer, and they took me to him, and I told him what I wanted, that Black people should have a voice in TTC, that it is about time that Black people and their heritage be made known. We live in a multicultural city, and we don't see the multiculturalism within the TTC in terms of activities and events and stuff. And I said, you know, we have baseball tournaments, we have soccer tournaments. What about the domino tournaments? We don't have. What about the cricket tournaments? We don't have that. Why is it the way it is? And he wanted to know what can I do to help change it. And so I made a proposal to start an organization within the TTC to raise awareness for Black voices. And I laid out a plan on how I'm going to do it and what I'm going to do. And he said, okay, I will support you and I will give you some resources and see what happens. And so I started what we now call the Black Transit Workers Association, the first of its kind in any North American transit system. And along with the department, that the communications department, we decided to do something for Black History Month. Now, I must say that one division, that's the division at Mount Dennis, used to have a Black History Month display years prior to that. They used to have it, but it was never a property-wide event. And I felt that we were lacking. Why is Black people only relegated to one little division? And if you don't belong to that one division, you don't see anything. So I asked for the expansion and with the autonomy to choose what we want to display and what we want to see. And so one of the upper management members is a Grenadian. Her parents are Grenadians. And she was advisor to the CEO. And so I called her, and they started an organization that dealt mostly with management called COMTO, Conference of Minority Transportation Officials. So that was more on a management scale. And so I started what we call the Frontline Employee Organization, BTWA. And so we collaborated the first year, and we did a backpack drive in your location, John, in the Mount Dennis area. And we raised over 800 backpacks for students in that area, which we distributed. And that year, we had our very first property-wide Black History Month display. I don't know if you recall that we had buses wrapped with Jean Augustine and others, Lincoln Alexander, and we had those buses wrapped with their photo, and we had a display on them and other Black history pioneers and what they accomplished as Black people. Fast forward, we won the CUTA Award, the North American Award in transportation for the best Black History Month display. And so I continued working on that project with the blessing of the Chief Operations Officer and the CEO, who now became involved, a man from Boston. I mean, everybody knows Rick Leary is from Boston. And he was full head in support of it. And I must say that people don't understand that in order to achieve anything, you need not only support, but enablers. Because as our Black community, we don't have the resources to do what we really want to do. Sometimes we don't even have the platform, which is so important that, John, you create such a platform that we can reach our own people. But I would never be able to have that platform where I can reach Black people throughout the TTC without being enabled, not just by the chief operations officer, but by the CEO himself. And so on many occasions, he would call me to his office and we would have a little talk. And I wish he would give me champagne, but he would give me coffee. And, and we would have a little talk and he would ask me, well, where do you see this organization going? What do you want to accomplish? And I would tell him and he would say, okay, well, I see the vision for that. I'll support that, right? And sometimes he had ideas of his own on how to get things across through a property. And so for me, I felt like the Martin Luther King without the death of TV. Because I mean, for people to be listening to you to that extent, especially people who normally you wouldn't expect, like the chief operations officer, the head of bus transportation, the senior advisor to the CEO, and even up to the CEO himself. And so we took that opportunity and I put a team together. And we started out as, they called us, first of all, they called us the diversity group. That's how they referred to us within the TTC. And then, the local people would say, oh, the black group, the black group, the black group. And people started talking and they started asking questions and we put out, we put out some literature and what we want to do. And so we did another Black History Month. So we continued. This year we did an awesome job again. What we did this year is that we had the buses wrapped. The city of Toronto has a program where they take street kids who have the art of drawing. They would use them. And then there were other kids young artists. They had this program where they have young artists who can really artfully do their thing. And we decided to use their art as displays on the buses, and that's what we had this year. If you looked at some of the buses, we would have the art drawn by the individual, and then we have their names up and give them the credit. And so it was very rewarding that these young Black youths were able to display their talent all across TTC and across the city. After that was done, I got a call one day, and the chief operations officer, who I talk to him very often, he's a very approachable man. And he said he wanted to see me, so I went to see him. He took me off, and I went to his office, and then he took me to the CEO's office, and he said to me, I see the work you do. It's groundbreaking, it's revolutionary, it's something that we needed, but we didn't know we needed until it came. And out of that initiative, we now have within the TTC a diversity, equity, and inclusion department.
Wow.
So exclusively for that, they have their own manager. She's a lady called Keisha Campbell. She used to be out of I think she's Trinidadian, half Trinidadian, if I'm not mistaken. And she used to be out of TD Bank, and so she's heading that department now. And they're doing a lot of work when it comes to Black and equity and inclusion for Blacks, minorities, women of color especially. I don't know, if you look, you would see in the postings, in the public postings, that TTC is hiring, especially women of color. Mm-hmm. Because that's direct from initiatives that we put together, that we have spoken about, and the Chief Diversity Officer, she's now titled, is working on making a lot of changes. They've started some other groups, the Women in Diversity group. They have started that, and they have some initiatives that, and I must say that every step of the way I have been included, or our group has been included in the work of the TTC. And so in sitting there, I was fortunate to be told that the CEO thought it uh, that much to hand me the TTC CEO award this year for my work in the diversity and all the work that I did within the TTC. So the announcement was made. I have not been able to go receive whatever yet. I don't know, because I came off my brother's funeral and I went into, I had some training to do, which ended yesterday. And I'll be back to work this week. So regular duties, so I would know when they would need me to accept the award. The ceremony was virtual because of the COVID and mask thing. So I think now I'll probably be able to meet him one-on-one. So when Texler said that, I don't stand up for myself, I don't, it's not I don't stand up for myself, but you see, if my mother had a saying that if you stop and throw stones at every dog that barks, you'll never get where you're going.
Yeah.
So it's a journey. It's somewhere I want to get. I want to make, not for me, but I want to make some. If I could make one life better for me, that I've done my job. I've done my piece. And so sometimes, I mentioned that earlier, sometimes it pains when people say things, especially things that they don't really know. But, people have a way of trying to distract you. And I just refuse to be distracted even more now than ever, because I know what you do is always more or is louder than what you say. And again, I say, my mother used to say that let your courage be proved by your deeds, not by your words. So I do, and people speak, but I do. I don't have to fight back. Sometimes truth need no defense. So that's why Texla, sometimes I don't fight back, because sometimes you get so caught up in the crowd, in the noise, that people don't know who's the fool because everybody's making noise.
Yeah.
I sit here and I feel as a proud mother today to hear you say I. I never hear you say the word I. I always hear you say they and we and them. But I feel good today because I hear you for the first time saying I, and I am part of. It makes me feel good. I want you to tell me I did a good job as a mother. Because all during the Grenada thing, Carol took licks. One day I had enough and I had to stand up. And Karen said, it's okay. I said, no, it's not okay. Enough is enough. So I really, he come a long way. I'm so proud of him today. And so proud just to hear him say I and them and they. He did so much work for the tourism to reestablish what you call the so-called travel something in Canada here, just to establish us as Grenadians. But some of us here, we come here and we have some crooked mind. We have the same old mindset, and we're not. Once they know you as a boy, they always look at you as the boy in the short pants, but not seeing the man in the long pants. And that's the thing with Grenadians. And I hope I just say Grenadians alone or Caribbean people. They think that when you reach at a certain level and they knew you in short pants, they need to treat you that same way. And this kind of culture, we need to done away with that. And I'm so proud of Karen. Karen, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, this was some gutsy move, man. This was some and I don't think you are stretching it at all when you say you feel like a modern day MLK, man. This is this takes real courage. It takes a certain degree of quiet confidence, because I can see you while you listing. I don't think you consider it accomplishment, but as you list the tasks that you guys accomplished together, I can see you just being uncomfortable talking about yourself. So that says, yeah, that I noticed that. So because you know, so that was some gutsy movement. Congratulations. I have no other word to say, but congratulations, job well done. And those of us, well, every Grenadian of every stripes, of every walk, in every corner of the world, including our brothers and sisters at home, needs to be proud of you. And these are the kind of stories that should be told. You know, 2 weeks ago, we were here on with Wendell DeRiggs, and we talked about something possibly that it was an idea that we bantered around in a group in New York some years ago, to create a series of lectures in Grenada with Grenadians who live overseas. I hate the word diaspora, by the way, because the people in Grenada don't say diaspora. They talk about the family who live either in Canada, London, the United States, or wherever, you know. This diaspora thing is us just trying to over-intellectualize everything, you know. And we talked about it, that, you know, people, you know, including folks who live at home, can go into schools and into community groups and churches, if possible, and tell their story, tell their experiences. That would give young people the kind of confidence to know that they can, that they may have an idea, you know. It may seem a small idea, but that if they can first pull the human resources together, working with their friends and sometimes family, they can accomplish and achieve great things. And these are the kind of stories that we need to be telling our young people. And if we do that, and like you say, even if it's just one life we change, you know, our job would have been done. So congratulations, my brother.
Thank
you.
So I have a question.
Go ahead.
Sorry, John. I have a question. In 2019 and 2019, 2020, and 2021, we had young black boys, young black men, I should say, driving the TTC. Yeah.
Mhm.
In 2022 now, the latter part of 2021, TTC says, tell them if they cannot have the vaccine, they cannot work. What are you doing to fight for our young boys? Because, I mean, our young men, because they had, you guys was the first liners. In 2019, nobody knew about the mask. Mask came out what, in 2020? The latter part of 2020? So they risked their life. And today they were told that they can't work if they don't have the vaccine. What is putting in place for young men?
Listen, I'm going to answer you two ways. The first way I'm going to answer you is that, you know, let me see how I could put it. You know, there is a saying, monkey know a tree to climb. No, we have to know where our reach is. That's that the issue of the vaccine, and it's beyond our reach, unfortunately. Um, not that we don't have an opinion or that we can't express our opinion, but it is a policy. And sometimes when things are made policies, it's beyond our reach.
Okay.
Also, it became an issue where it was a personal decision whether you follow the policy or not. And I have my reasons for following, those who didn't have their reasons for not following. And so it becomes a bit of a controversial issue that has nothing to do with morality, if you understand where I'm going. It's a personal medical choice, as opposed to if they were not given certain things because they were Black, then I would be dancing like an ants all over it. Right? But because it has the potential to be out of my realm as not an equity or diversity issue. It's mostly a human rights and policy issue. Choice, and so I am not qualified to speak on that. I hope you don't mind.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. Because
what I do know is that we have fought hard for minorities, women of color especially, to become a part of TTC. We know what there is a group that is was organized called Women in Diversity within the TTC. And I have my vice president on that committee. And I know she's making a whole heap of noise, like them people would say, getting women, Black women, minority women within the TTC, despite the myriad of difficulties that they face. Because we know a lot of these women are single parents. And TTC is a night bus, weekend, late shift, premium shift, half shift company.
Right.
So what do they do with the kids when the babysitter and they have to work at night and they have to pay a babysitter? How do they maneuver that? And so I know she's making a whole heap of noise in order for TTC to accommodate these unique issues that Black women face. And she is doing it. They're accomplishing quite a lot for young Black women.
Okay, so since the TTC is under the government guideline, and the government themselves say the vaccine is not mandated, why then it is still mandated throughout the TTC?
Because that's a question you would have to ask one of the big boys like the CEO, COO, because they make the policies. We don't. If there is a policy that we think is discriminatory because of color, or where we come from, or what we look like, then we would fight. And I know they probably wouldn't even do that. But when it comes to that part of their system, we don't.
Yep. All right.
Thank you.
All right. I want to first of all I want to congratulate you, Kyron, officially from Gemfm, Genesis Magazine Radio and television / radio here today for being here, taking time off of your busy schedule to be here with us this morning to talk about all the things that you have spoken of. I'm very proud of you. One, that we from the same country. Two, we grew up in the same church. Two, we live in the same house that we live in right now. Your wife and I are friends, and your father-in-law and everybody in that family, we are close knitted. As a matter of fact, your sister-in-law has been very instrumental, very supportive of me when my wife was sick with cancer. She used to come here every Friday night to stay here with my wife so I could get that ease off and to do things I wanted to do. So again, I want to extend that olive branch of congratulations and thank you to her as well. Officially on Gemfm. I've never done that before in that way, but to take that opportunity today to say thank you to Stephanie in a big way for her support. Not only on that time, but before we really, 1997, when we was down and out and we wanted to go back to Grenada, she said, no, John, young lady should stay here. And she encouraged us to stay and find accommodation for us in the house that we live in right now. You know, we had the whole house to ourselves, more or less. So I want to thank again for that oof me and national TV here for that. With that being said, I want to become bigger and better and greater, because the world is not a straight line, it's a circle. You know, as we go around this world, there's a lot of people we will meet on our way, and we will meet people again and again and again. So I wanted to continue to do your good work, do your good deeds. And again, Gemfm, like you said, we don't just play music, people just dance. We educate people, and people listen to us, to our radio station during the day, or watch us, they know that we have something very educational. And you said something earlier on about impacting one life at a time. When you make mention of the school bag program, if you just take one child. Well, here we believe in changing one person at a time. If one person could be changed, even by this very conversation that we're having here today, we'll be blessed. One person's life could change because of you, because where you come from, you brought your how you was raised, and where you come from, and become who you are today. If one person say, you know, if Kyron did it, I could do it. If John has done this, I could do this. Because one lady asked me a question one time. He said, so you mean I waste all my money going to university to do what you're doing right now? I said, no, waste your money. See, one thing that people believe that if they go to university, they could become successful. But I've learned for many years that education doesn't really necessarily make you become successful. Your vision, and if you lack in vision, and if you don't apply and set goals to achieve your goals, you will not become successful. So it's not, and if you have a passion for something, but just do it because you hope that people go say, oh, Kyron did this. But if you do it from your heart because you want to do it, something in you, like you said, you're born to serve. You're born to be of service, you know? And that is the key, is being of service to other people. Not much about yourself, but how much people can reach and help become better. And I love that about you because you're just not doing it for you, doing it for the better good of your community. I want to thank you so much.
Yeah.
A servant of the people. Again, if it wasn't for you, a lot of people would not been having this job today. Would not be celebrating what we celebrate in Black History Month and the TTC. And when I came here, you know, when I get on a bus, when I came in 89, every bus I jumped on was a white. We just have come to Pleasant back at the bus at the time, you know, and they have a white driver. Everything was white, you know. But now we have diversity, and I must say thank you too for encouraging your top level management to take up the mantle and run with it the way you brought it to them. And they saw the opportunity to gain your ground. So again, I want to thank you, man. I can't thank you enough. I hope that I know I see you pull that cigar. I always remember my B-man in a while. You know, and I see that reminds me of B-man. B-man will always have, you don't smoke, but when you go out, you have a cigar, something just like that, you don't pull it right to the whole thing. And that's
I smoke mine in defiance to my mother. But
I look at you. I know I look at you on Saturday afternoon. I see the cigarette. I say, hey, the B-man come to mind, you know. And that for you was the cigar. For me was the earring in my ears with my mom. You know what I mean? When I supposed to take it when I got getting married, I was supposed to take out the earring in my ears. I didn't take it out, and I sent the picture, and the lady called me. What you do with earring in your ears? You're not supposed to wear an earring, you know. But at the same time, the earring was something that my late wife wanted to see on me. She wanted, since in high school, she wanted me to wear an earring. So one evening I came from work and I just said, you know what, how about January? I'll just step inside Chopper's job, when she walk in the bed, and get my ears pierced. So I went in, get my ears pierced, and I went up and with come and say, oh my God, you did it. And big hug anymore. People thinking it was something I did really great. You know what I mean? Just an earring. After almost 20 years of asking me to put the earring in my ears, it was finally done. So that was a great thing. So I think when we do things and we do for people, we do it with love. And I think that you do it with love, you do it with heartfelt and loving kindness towards other people. And, you know, life have a way of rewarding those of us who do it from the heart and not from the hands, you know. And I really appreciate you doing this from your heart. Again, my regard, my sympathy to you and the loss of your brother, mother, and so on. And I know you lost other friends of yours. But again, thank you. And I want to thank your wife for allowing you to give you the freedom to be here this morning. Whoever is watching and listening in the background.
I could say a lot about that, but we've come to the end, so I can't speak anymore.
Well, I'll give you 5 minutes.
No, it's okay. That's 5 minutes. That's 5 minutes I would have passed up.
Well, you know,
like Texla said, I don't always stand up for myself. So this is one of the times I do.
You're such a humble person, Karen. And I love you always.
You too, Tex.
on Gemfm, we set a time, but we do bong bite, you know.
Yeah.
We not
But
come-
unfortunately, I have other things that I got to do. So
yeah, I know. That's
yeah.
So Delbert, I
Yeah.
do it every Saturday morning, and we want to say thank you again very much. And Delbert, any closing parting words for you, and then go to text, and then
Listen, all I'd say, we have this absolutely precious, wonderful conversation almost every
Thank you,
Saturday, and
Ted.
sometimes on Saturday afternoons, and sometimes on Saturday nights, and so forth. And we need an action plan. And you clearly have demonstrated that you're somebody who thinks about these issues and comes to them with a great sense of moral clarity as to what's right and wrong. And from this amazing, amazing accomplishment, he has demonstrated that you actually know how to get things done at different levels, within different cultures, within different corporate settings. And I'm saying we have to harness that talent, my brother. So we through Gemfm, I know you remember we had tried to put this group together some time ago, John, with Pablo and former ambassador.
Yeah.
God, yeah. We got to do something again, because for me, I saw my parents accomplish, and in particular my mom, accomplish so much in terms of her service to people. And I am so much more better prepared, at least I think so. They spent so much educating me and encouraging me, the kind of education that they themselves did not have. And I have not been able to accomplish have that kind of impact in changing people's lives. And I want my life to mean something before I eventually leave this place. And for me, the thing that still resonates with me is service. And maybe I nursed it in the milk, because as a young boy, that's all my mother did. That's all she talked about. She could not, everybody she came in touch with, she felt she could help them. I remember growing up in Chantemelle, there were really, really bad boys, like bad men, who would quiver, who would curse anywhere else in the village, say the most disgusting thing, do the worst thing. But when that 50-yard stretch on either side of the house was sacred ground, they just would not disrespect her. And it doesn't matter what they were doing, she would call on anyone to get something done for her. And that was because she had created deep reservoirs in the community of goodness. And she could marshal anybody to. I tell the story, my first time going back to Grenada, my mom woke me up. I had promised I was going to do something the night before and came in late. And she woke me up 5 o'clock in the morning to go take some food to a lady that I did not do the night before. And obviously I was not happy. And I'm like, no, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it when I get up, Mom. Just relax. And within about 10 minutes, I heard a car blowing outside. She had called somebody else because she was so concerned that that lady had gone to sleep hungry. So she called somebody else, and that person was there by 5:15 in the morning to pick that food up and go. And I felt totally useless. I felt that I had betrayed the upbringing that the way I was raised. I had betrayed my calling, and I want to do things. I want to do things for my family also, but I want to do things the way a wider community benefits. And I would love to collaborate with people like yourself to see what we can do, not from government level, but from a community level, from our village level, from our parish level, to begin to change lives in Grenada, because we can do that. We have the tools, we have the know-how, we have access to all kind of people, we have experience. For God's sake, let's put it together. Let's forget about the praise, and I love that side about you, you know. And let's just do the work, you know. Let's just do the work, and hopefully we will change lives for generations to come.
All right, Tex.
I just want to tell Karen how much I love him, and thank you so much. I've served with him in 2006 and 7 on the committee of the Grenada Consulate, and he has done such a tremendous work, but yet still gets so much lash for it. Both he and Maria, they serve us and they teach, especially the Grenada tourism that I always go after. Didn't have a clue of what they was doing, and all they want to do is to put Grenada on the map to show off to the world our lovely beaches, and they get so much licking for it. But I do thank God because today they're still standing, and he make me a proud mother today. So I can say I'm the mother of Karen. I adopt him as my son. But yeah, I'm proud of him for the job now that he is doing in TTC. And I want to say, good job, continue saying the word I.
Yeah. All right.
So mean bad. It means that you did it. Amen.
All right. I have one more thing here, Karen, from Louise Noel Ambrose. I wish she was here on platform this morning. He said Kyron had also had the ability to get things done for the betterment of the people of Grenada. Unfortunately, he was given the opportunity within the presidency of the Grenada Association, presidency of the Grenada Association of Toronto. 15 years later, he continued with his work, environment, and his charity, Cover Me Foundation. And yes, from Louise Noel Ambrose. Thank you so much, Louise, for that piece right here that solidify what Kyron said today. And we're looking forward to big and better things from Kyron. So Kyron, again, thank you very much. Again, I've learned a lot more about you today, and I hope that the listening audience and the viewing audience will take a page from your diary of life and use it for their personal growth and development to help reach and serve other people and make sure that everybody that they come in contact with, they become a servant to that person. Thank you so much, my brother. God bless you and make you a blessing. Wherever you go, leave your footprint in the sand so we don't have to go and make our own. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Tex. Thank you, Delbert. It was a pleasure.
Congratulations, my brother.
All right, thanks.
Looking forward to being in the seat next to you sometime.
I will try that.
Okay. Again, for all the mothers that we celebrate Mother's Day tomorrow. Tonight, actually, we'll be having a discussion on the BVI situation. Delbert, I hope you'll be here early. Class start early tonight, 8 o'clock sharp. We'll be talking about the BVI situation. The intention of the British government to take back and rule the BVI for the next 2 years. I think Wizard Song say they come back again. So I think whether it's alleged or whatever situation is, we'll talk about that tonight. The allegations, the constitutional suspension by the British government. I just get this track today. But tonight, join us back at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock tonight, and let us get this ball going and have an honest and open and frank discussion. Tonight, Delbert Baptiste, Lincoln Deputy, Margaret Francis, and yours truly, John Callis and Delbert Baptiste will be here tonight to discuss this issue in the Caribbean. And it's becoming more contagious than we think. It probably is there already, but we don't know how deep it is. The corruption that flows through the Caribbean among our leaders. And the brother promised to call some names. So we don't know which prime minister, which president, or who in the Caribbean name that is on this list about to call. So let us have a discussion tonight. Come along and join us.
Let's just look and see who called their travels. Who are afraid to visit Miami or New York or wherever?
I like what Louis say that Karen held. Yes, you have to, because Karen was too soft for the organization.
I have to come up. You're the one pushing fire, no, Karen.
Yeah, he have to stand up for himself. Enough was enough.
Well, it has been a unpleasant pleasure, and those are just celebrating all the mothers: Louise, Tex, Yulin, Doris, Veronica,
Olivet,
Yvonne, Lynthia, Doris, all of you mothers on here today that we see here. Again, happy Mother's Day to you, and congratulations on raising good children. Yes? My mom, Miss Joyce Callis, out there in Paradise. Born and raised in Sotes, Lutang, Sotes. Yes, right on the pipe stand there, raised. And I want to say thank you, Mama, for the 9 months you carry me. I really do appreciate you. And I want to say, I know a lot of men today, we want to say thanks to the mother as well. So I want to play this song for all the mothers. Thank you, Mama, for the 9 months you carry us.
Hey, Mama. Hi, Mama. Oh, my. Oh, Mama, don't cry. Gonna give you my blood so high. Reaching out to all the mothers in the world. Sometimes it's just the way things ought to be, yeah. Thank you, Mama, for the 9 months you carried me through. All those pain and suffering. No one knows the pressure you bear, just only you. Give you all my love, oh yeah. Thank you, Mama, for the 9 months you carried me through. All those pain and suffering. No one knows the pressure you bear, just only you. It's my words and my tongue. Mama, I will never let you down. I'll never go away. I'll always be around. You know why you do it, such love that you found. I'm always gonna let you wear that crown. Good rufus of times, you maintain your calm towards your only end, while sheltering me from the storm. And when it's cold around me, the towel so warm. Oh my, I'm so glad I was born. Thank you, Mama, for the 9 months you carried me through. All those pain and suffering. No one knows the pressure you bear, just only you. Give you all my love, oh yeah. Oh, thank you, Mama, for the 9 months you carried me through. All those pain and suffering. No one knows the pressure you bear, just only you. This is my word. I'm gonna make you so proud. Such good son you are. You're the one who teaches me all the good from the bad. Even when the system keeps pressuring my daddy, you got high hopes. Thanks be unto the Most High God. Thank you, Mama, for the 9 months you carried me through. All those pain and suffering. No one knows the pressure you bear, just only you. Give you all my love, oh yeah. Thank you, Mama, for the 9 months you carried me through. All those pain and suffering. All my vision, aspiration, I owe it all up to you. It's my words and my offering. I'm a big man now, that's how things go. Things they do to survive, only Jah knows. Fiercely protecting us while watching us grow. You've been up, even when it's on the down low. Work so hard to see us go to school. Blisters on your fingers so they can't take us for food. I'm here for a purpose, I'm here to rule. Most High Jah, Rastafari will see us through. Thank you, Mama, for the 9 months you carried me through. All those pain and suffering. No one knows the pressure you bear, just only you. Thank you, Mama, for the 9 months you carried me through. All those pain and suffering. No one knows the pressure you bear, just only you. Oh. Now it's my turn to make life. I'm so mature, you know I've got my kids and my wife, and I'm positively sure I'm doing fine, and still can do so much more. You'll prepare me for the future, my love, you deserve. Keep doing your thing while others not knowing. But deep inside your heart, mama, you know where it was going. And a mother loses tender care for her child that she been showing. Somehow your stars keep glowing.
Is Sizzler coming up and talking about his mama. Well, folks, that's where we come to the end of this show. Again, thank you again, Gilbert and Tex. See you guys tonight. Tex, Gilbert, 8 o'clock. Class at 8 o'clock. If you want to go bring your sheep early and bring your cow early and stuff like that. Yes.
All right, man. I'll see you later on.
Yeah, one love, my brother.
Bye, Delbert.
Right,
Love you.
Bye-bye. Take care. Love you. Bye-bye.
All right. Love you, John. Bye-bye.
All right.
This is Caribbean Vibes.
Hey, let's have a party. A Caribbean party. The entire region together in one big splash down fiesta.
A Caribbean connection. A regional vibration.
I say we jamming to the songs of the Caribbean, we grooving to calypso and steel band. This jam go be Irie. Is one love, so feel free. For we are the people of the Caribbean, showing that we don't want no business plan.
A Caribbean connection. A regional vibration.
I say we jamming to the songs of the Caribbean, we grooving to calypso and steel band. Together, so should every leader, for we are one people, one destination. So let us move on without hesitation.
A Caribbean connection. A regional vibration.
I say we jamming to the songs of the Caribbean, we grooving to calypso and steel band.
This is Caribbean Vibes.
The venue is Tobago, and it's going to be a grand show, a
true Caribbean, Callaloo mix up. When we start to jam up, we going non-stop.
A Caribbean connection, original vibration.
I say we jamming to the songs of the Caribbean. We grooving to calypso and steel band.
Nobody can stop this fire, land, cause I need to be in your love. You are my one desire, land, cause I need to be in your love. Me say the devil can't test me, Lord, you done bless me, so me not go scared of them. Me want all